Hello! Today what we want to talk about is the chapter that deals with sales promotion. Now, one of the levers that we often use in marketing is promotions. And generally there are three types of promotions. There's consumer promotions, there's retailer promotions, and there's trade promotions. Having looked at the projects you're working on this term, I want to concentrate today on consumer and trade promotions because those are the ones you're most likely to use for your project. If you're doing a consumer promotion, you've got a variety of ways that you can provide a promotion to the customer, and that's nothing more than an incentive for them to buy. The first thing you can do is you can modify the product in some way. A lot of companies do this by giving you additional volume in the product. So let's say you get a bonus, 50 milliliters or 2 extra ounces for this particular product. What they're doing is they're trying to convince the consumer in their mind that they're getting a better value for the same price. You might be able to do the same with some of the projects you're working on. The other system that we typically use are samples. And what we'll often do is we'll either mail to somebody's house or we'll provide in-store samples for the people to try. And what we're hoping for with either of those is kind of a feeling of reciprocity with the consumer, and the consumer will then feel obligated to purchase from us. Now, not all consumers will do that. So we have to factor in what percentage of the consumers who we're going to reach are willing to take a chance on our sample, and then based upon that number, what percentage are actually willing to make a purchase. And then of that, what percentage is going to make a repurchase. So we're basing all these assumptions. Now, how do we come up with those assumptions? Well, if you're a well-established firm like Procter & Gamble, Unilever, or anybody else who's in the CPG space, they've got history to draw on. If you're new, like you are in putting these companies together, then typically what you do is you draw on case studies of existing companies that were at a similar stage of development that you can draw on to see what kind of response they got. Or you can take a look at what's been found based upon research done in your sector that's been published either by a trade group or somebody in the academy. Now, what I did when you were sending in your objectives is I often said, look, you need to find a comparable. If you're going to use one of these sales promotions, you probably want to find a comparable company to see what kind of results they got, because that's going to be a good predictor about what you can expect. And then you can go and do a break-even analysis. You can conduct a profit loss on it. What you're trying to do is figure out, is a product giveaway, either as a sample or as a bonus, going to pay off for you through increased sales? Most students and most people who are new to marketing instantly jump to price when it comes to providing a promotion. We'll put a sales price on. We'll knock our price down. We'll add a coupon. All are useful, but be careful, because price, as we talked about in the price chapter, unless you've got a cost structure to match it, is the most dangerous thing to play with, because it's the easiest thing for your competitors to copy, and it's the easiest way to get yourself into a lot of trouble by cutting your price. So if you're going to cut your price, make sure that it's for a goal. You're trying to get people to switch. And you've got a percentage in mind of what you're looking for people to switch. Maybe you're trying to speed up purchases. Instead of somebody who's going to buy between 60 and 90 days, you want them to move between 30 and 60 days. And by offering that price break, you'll be able to encourage them to purchase earlier. You can put a coupon on it. If you use a coupon, the beauty is we know that only a percentage of those are redeemed. So you've got to figure out, again, using that comparable company or historical data that you can find, what percentage of your coupons are likely to be redeemed and what that cost is going to be. And then you want to compare that to your proposed increased revenue to see if it's a worthwhile expenditure. You could do a rebate or a refund. Menards is really big into rebates and refunds because they know that consumers are even less likely to use those. That most people will get a rebate and then promptly forget they've got it, or they'll promptly forget they've got a refund if they have to send something in. And the reason why is the reason why people don't like to send refunds or rebates in, it's quite simply this. You as the marketer have now added in an additional hurdle, which is a cost the consumer has to bear to access their refund or their rebate. So when you offer something like that, you have to know that whatever it is you're offering is high enough to entice the customer by making them think if they do it, they'll get value for it. Then you've also got to work on, will they remember it all? And some consumers just forget. They go home and something else pops up and they don't realize they have that particular refund or rebate to go after. The last thing we see is discounts for frequent users. And you see that at coffee shops, buy 10, get one free. Subway used to run a promotion, buy 10, get the 11th sandwich was free, or buy 5 and get one free. What you're doing is you're taking your profit margin from those 10 and you're then writing that off against whatever the cost is for that 11th one you're giving away for free. What you're trying to do with that is build habitual purchasing, build loyalty at some level into your consumer. Usually when it's when they're doing it to get something free, it's more of a capture than a true loyalty program. And that's why when you look at loyalty programs, like we're going to look at in the last chapter of this term, you're going to find that they have a series of escalating awards. Very rarely are they tied to discounts. They're to reward people. They give them something of benefit that they don't currently have for being a customer. The last thing that we tend to look at in promotions for the consumer side is events. And we see that all the time. We'll run a barbecue. We'll become one of the sponsors of Taking Over the Red or something like that. And what you're trying to do is create an experience that consumers want so they'll come in and they'll purchase your product. Events are really good at attracting millennials because if you think about it, millennials really want an experience when they buy. They're not so much interested in the price so much because they tend to buy for quality, or they're doing a straight up, I need it right now, I don't need it to last, I'll just buy whatever there is there. But they do love that experience, and it's not just millennials. All consumers today love experiences. So if you can run a special event that's of interest to them, they're likely to come in and buy. Now, some of you are also you're selling through retailers. So let's take a look at some retail promotions you can run. The easiest one is a price cut. So what you do is you go to your retailer and say, okay, we're going to give you a 20% discount right now. And the retailer then has a choice. They can turn around and give that discount to their customers in hopes the customers will buy more. Or they can keep the discount and use that to fatten up their margin. The choice is really up to them, and it depends upon what the state of the market is. If the market's down, they'll probably pass the discount along to try and get more customers in, and then hope to hold on to those customers longer term. If the market's up, they're more than likely going to hold on to that because they've got the customers coming in anyways. They don't need an additional enticement. We can also look at displays. Whenever you go into a retailer, especially grocery stores, you'll notice that there are end of aisle or middle of aisle displays. And we see that Old Dutch will put up a display. Coke will sponsor a display that uses Coke boxes being put up into some sort of design for that. This time of year, we're likely to see something to do with Independence Day. What they're doing is they're trying to reach out and grab the consumers, but they provide those to the retailers at no charge. And what they're looking for is for the retailer to use those to draw the customers in. It helps the retailer because their sales overall go up. It helps us as the manufacturer or the distributor because we're selling more of our product by putting it in there. The beauty of displays is we don't have to cut the price. That usually just having a display is enough to get consumers to buy because it breaks them out of the patterns that we looked at in that chapter and on consumer behavior, and in particular, the video from Marketplace. We can run feature ads. So if if your retailer runs a weekly print ad, we can buy space in that. Or if they're doing electronic ads, we can pay for part of the setup for that week in order to get our products featured. We can run contests with the retailers, with our retail base to see who sells the most, and then we'll reward the top selling retailer. Could be a cash prize, might be a trip if it's a very expensive product you're selling. Whatever it is, we're going to reward them, and what we're hoping to do is entice them to go out and sell more of our product by providing them that contest. Now, last but not least, we can use free goods. Often, especially in the food side, you'll see this where you'll go to a retailer and you go, buy 4 cases, get 5. And what you're doing again is you're giving the retailer the option of passing that sales price they're getting or the free goods onto the customer or fattening their margin. Either way, you want them to promote your product. So it's similar to a price cut, but usually a free good is something we do 1 month, where a price cut tends to be over a longer term. Now, which one's right for you? We've looked at retailer and we've looked at consumer promotions, or are promotions at all good for you? Well, that really depends on your goals. All of you are working on startups, startup products, startup retailers, startup service-based businesses. One of the beauties of a sales promotion is it's great for building awareness. So if you want to bring people into your store, into your service location, what you can do is run a sales promotion. You could run an event. You could run a coupon, come in and buy one, get one. You could do something else that encourages people to come in. So if your strategic goal is to build awareness, promotions are a great way to do it. They're also really good if you're trying to get awareness up. Again, if you've got something that pulls people in, maybe they're not ready to buy right away, but now they're thinking about you and you're starting to enter their psyche. So now you might be something that they think about later on when they're ready to buy the product. It could be you're trying to build relationships. We talked about how we can use some of these things as part of a CRM program. So what we have to look at is, what's the goal? Is it awareness? Is it relationship? Is it strictly a short run piece, like we're trying to build sales for this month? Sales have been down, so we run a promotion to try and bring them up. Whatever it is, we want to make sure that we have a reason for running promotions. Now, promotions are also good because they can reach both customers and non-customers. So maybe somebody who might be thinking of switching, we haven't got yet, they can be reached with a sales promotion. You give them a coupon, they're likely to come in. Or you run an event where you're allowing them to sample your service, they might come in. Again, what you've done now is you've got your company in their mind, so when they're ready to make the switch, they'll do it. There are a lot of downfalls, though, with promotions you have to be concerned with. And the first of those is you're accelerating regular purchases. So if you run a promotion, what you may find is some of your customers go, I'm going to stock up. So they buy a lot of product, and then they hold on to it, and then next month or the next quarter, your sales are down because what you've done is you've pulled sales from one quarter into another quarter. That used to be a major problem with the cigarette industry, is they had this horrible habit of offering discounts to their retailers the last week of every quarter in order to maximize quarterly sales, because that's how sales reps were rewarded. And what that did was it meant that usually for the first 2.5 months of every quarter, sales of cigarettes were absolutely horrible because every retailer had stocked up. Not as big a problem today with minimal inventory, but it still might be an issue. So think about it. Are you simply pulling sales from one time into another with this? If you are, then your promotion is not going to be horribly effective. The other thing is, are you accelerating captured purchases? So the first option we looked at was you're pulling sales you would have gotten anyways from existing customers. Maybe what you're doing is, by running a promotion, you're capturing a customer who would have changed anyways, but now you're capturing them for a lower margin. Is that what you're trying to do? If it is, stick with it. If not, then what you're doing is you're leaving money on the table, and your promotion is much more expensive than you thought it was. The other factor to take into account is you might have your regular customers use a coupon simply to get a better price break. It doesn't impact their behavior. They're not buying more. They're not accelerating their purchases. All they're doing is they're buying their same amount, but your coupon is just allowing them to do it at a lower price. Again, pushing your margin down. Okay, so you've got to take a look at all those things when you're deciding whether or not a sales promotion is in the cards. The last thing to consider is, how much do you want to allocate to a sales promotion versus traditional advertising? And the answer to that is, it depends. It depends on your goals. It depends upon the product. It depends upon the consumer behavior of your customers. It depends upon things like brand loyalty. It depends upon how complex the purchase is, and if you can use the promotion to highlight something unique about the product. If it's something where there's brand loyalty, then a sales promotion, probably not that effective at some levels. At other levels, very effective, because it might get somebody to think about changing when they hadn't before. The complexity of the purchase. If it's a complex purchase, maybe your sales promotion will push them over the top. But you have to decide, when you're looking at how much do you want to allocate between advertising, sales promotion, and as we're going to see in one of the next chapters, direct sales force, how much do you want to spend in each one of those in order to get the best possible return for your marketing dollar? Okay, that's it. We'll come back with a very fast look at channels, and then we'll get into the last two chapters of the text.